Okay, welcome everyone. I hope everyone had a good weekend. The exams are being graded. They should be, the grading should be complete in about a week and a half. Okay, so I'm going to email you back as I finish grading. Okay, so when yours is graded, you will get emails. So some of you will get your grades sooner than others. Okay, but the plan is to have it all graded in the next week and a half. Okay, I mean, if it's not graded in the next 10 days or so, please let me know. Okay, you should be getting your grades back for your first midterm within 10 days. Okay, so I'm gonna get started with, actually, I'm gonna finish with Descartes, and then after finishing Descartes, then I'm gonna start with Armstrong. Okay, let's see here. Stop. Okay. So going back to Descartes and talking about his method of doubt, right? The method is, well, the purpose of this method is, trying to, in some principled way, okay, determine what we know and what we don't know, what we can know and what we cannot know. And in order to make that determination in a principled way, we develop a method, okay? We settle on a method, we agree upon a method. The method is a method of doubt. And the method says, take a claim, right? We want to know whether it's knowable or not, whether we can or cannot know it. And the method says, well, try to doubt it. Okay, that's the way you can know. That's the way to determine whether you know it or don't know it, right? Try to doubt it, okay? Try to come up with some scenario where no matter how fanciful and far-fetched, try to come up with a scenario where that claim is not true, right? Is it conceivable? Is it possible? Is there some conceivable scenario? Is there some possible scenario or conceivable scenario where that claim is not true? Okay? And if there is, well, then you have found a basis for doubt. Okay? You've come up with a scenario, right? You've conceived of a scenario, right, where it's false. So then you found a possible way to doubt. Okay, and then if you can doubt in that way, if you can come up with a scenario or conceive of a scenario where that claim is not true, well then it's doubtable. And if it's doubtable, you don't know. Okay, so that's the method, right? So what were some of the claims we were considering? What were some of the claims that we were considering, right? That I am presently on a Zoom call for Philosophy 1010, okay? Do I know this? Do I not know this? Well, let's use the method of doubt. Okay, try to doubt it. Okay, let's see if we can conceive of a scenario where even though I'm in having this present experience, even though it really, really seems like I'm in a Zoom call right now, this is a scenario where it's still not true, right? Well, one scenario would be one in which I'm dreaming that I'm in a Zoom call. If I'm merely dreaming that I'm in a Zoom call, then I'm not really in a Zoom call, right? So when I'm dreaming that I'm in a Zoom call, it really, really seems like I'm in a dream call. I mean, a dream call in a Zoom call, right? But what it seems like and what really is, right? It doesn't really match up, okay? So is there a scenario where it really, really, really seems like I'm in a Zoom call, but I'm not really in a Zoom call? Well, a dream scenario, right? So this dream doubt is that we cannot know with certainty that our present sense experience are not the result of a dream, okay? But that brings all the claims justified by the senses or the senses into doubt, okay? So what makes it seem like that I'm in a Zoom call? Well, I see that I'm in a Zoom call. I hear that I'm in a Zoom call. I feel that I'm in a Zoom call, right? So my senses, my observational senses are telling me, right? All of the empirical information. There's a lot of empirical information telling me I'm in a Zoom call. Okay, can everybody make sure that their audio is muted? Okay, all right. All right, so all of the senses, all of the observational information, all empirical information, right? Then seems like they are subject to doubt. Does everybody understand? Everybody get this? Right? Everybody feel the force of this? The dream doubt brings all, not just the claim that I'm in a Zoom call right now, not just that claim, and that I'm presently in the Zoom call. It doesn't just bring that into doubt, it brings all a posteriori claims, all claims justified by the senses, or all claim justified by observation or empirically justified. It brings all of those into doubt, right? For every observational claim, right? Every claim potentially justified by observation, right? That claim could be the result of a dream. Okay, so it looks like my senses are telling me that I'm in a present Zoom call, but that could be because I'm just dreaming that I'm observing that I'm in a dream call, right? And if that a posteriori claim is brought into doubt by the dream scenario, then all a posteriori claims are brought into doubt by the dream scenario, okay? If that's the part that I really want us to focus in on here, okay? Let me see if I can illustrate this a little bit with a picture. Okay, so here's a way to understand Descartes. Okay. And let's say I'm in a laptop, but shoot, how do I draw a laptop here? Okay, whatever. Okay, I'm in a Zoom call. Yeah, I see Zoom on my computer. It says zoom.us. Okay, I see Zoom here. Okay, and I see it. You know what happens is there's light, right? Let's say light from the sun or light from the light bulb. It light waves. It hits the computer, and then the light waves bounce off, right? And the light waves, you want the light waves here. Right? There's different light waves. Some of them are longer than others, right? So colors have to do with the frequency of the light waves, right? If there's a long, right, so over here, there's a long distance between the light waves. These are the more reddish light, right? It's closer to red. And then the short light waves, right, where the waves, right, the distance between the waves are very, very short. Those are the blue light, right? Okay, so the light waves are hits my eye, right? Goes through where the front of the eye, the cornea, right? Through the lens, right? The pupils sort of, what is it? That controls how much light goes in, right? Right, so it goes into the light waves to the back of the eye, to the optic, to the retina, hits, the photosensors in the eye. These are the photoreceptors, right? It's picking up the light. There's a part back of the eye that picks up the light, and then the light, back of the eye, the retina, is connected to, what is it? The rods and cones, the optic nerves, and then it somehow goes to the brain, whatever it is. And then you get a certain image in the mind, right? That creates a certain image. Okay, so in order for us to see, right, you need an entire visual system, right? You got to have the eyes, and the eyes have to be connected to, you got all the various parts of the eye, and those parts in the eye have optic nerves, and the nerves connect to, the sort of the parts of the brain, the visual part of the brain. The visual part of the brain then creates certain images, right? So, I mean, that's scientifically, that's how usually that's the story, right? And what happens in my mind is I get this visual image, right? Zoom. So there's my computer out here. This is outside of me, outside in the world, right? So this we would call the external realm. This is the external, this is the part external to my mind, right? You might call this the external or the subjective. Oh, sorry, no, what am I, not the subjective, the objective realm, right? Out here, this is the external, the objective, and I mean, another way of describing this realm is the public realm, right? The world out here, right? I mean, what do I mean? This thing out here, the things out here are public, like my computer is a public object. It's an external object. It's an object that's external to my mind. It's an objective object, okay? And it is public. What do I mean by that it's public? Does anybody want to I guess, guess what I mean when I say that the computer out here is public? What could I mean by that it's public?
Can I try?
Yeah, go ahead.
Accessible to all.
Accessible to all, public. Who said that? Who's talking? Huh?
Eleva.
Oh, Eleva. Yeah, it's accessible to all. Okay, so I obviously can see the computer, right? And the light waves are reflecting. When they're reflecting, they're not just reflecting for me, they're reflecting to everybody, right? Right, so the light waves are reflecting off that object. And if there's another person here, they can see the exact same thing. It's objective, right? It's an objective object. This is not something that just exists in my mind. It's something that exists out here. It's an objective object, and thus it is public. It is out here for all of us to observe. Okay, so I observe it, Aleva observe it, Donald Trump can observe it, Cindy can observe it, Luis can observe it, every one of us. Okay, well, I mean, if you're sort of, you have to be in the area, right? I mean, you got to be local to the computer, right? Somewhere close by, but each of us can see it. Okay, it's not private. It's not just for me to see. Okay, it's out here for all of us to see. Okay, it's public. Okay, whereas this image in my mind. Okay, so what happens is the light reflects, goes through my eyes, gets to the back of the light waves hit the back of my eyes, the retina, the photo, or the light receptors, the light, the nerves, sends the visual information to the visual part of the brain, and then what happens is in my mind, right? God, I can't draw a computer here. Okay, but you guys know what a laptop looks like, right? Even though I can't really draw one. So actually, the laptop should look like that, right? Yeah, that's it, right? Yeah, that's what a laptop should look like that. Okay. All right. Now, if you're going to understand Descartes, right, you've got to understand there is a deep divide between the realm in here and the realm out here. I mean, this is like fundamental to understanding Descartes, right? Descartes believed that there was a fundamental and essential difference between things out here in the external objective public realm and things in here, the internal realm, right? The realm internal to the mind. Okay, there's the realm external to the mind, right? This in here, this realm in here, right, where we've got images, visual images, right? So there's the computer and there's the image of the computer in my mind, okay? There's the computer and there's the idea of the computer in my mind, okay? This is, of course, the subjective realm, right? What exists inside the subjective realm? Things like images and ideas and beliefs and hopes, right? And anger, right? Emotions and happiness and love and, you know, and things like hunger and, right? These are all things that exist inside here in the internal, in the subjective, in the private. I mean, this is really crucial to understanding Descartes. He thought that the things in here were private, okay? Now, this sort of Cartesian picture, right, where there's like a deep divide between the realm out here, outside the mind, and the things in here, inside the mind, right? This Cartesian picture is a very intuitive picture. I think a lot of people, so what a lot of people think about, how a lot of people think about this, right? That there's a difference between the internal and the external, right? So Descartes' philosophy seems to capture that, right? So it's just very intuitive. What we intuitively think, right? There is this deep divide between the internal and the external, right? Between the subjective and the objective, between what's private here, right? So private meaning all of you can see the computer out here. You cannot see the image of the computer in my mind, right? There's only one person able to see the image, my image of the computer, or my idea of the computer, okay? And that, of course, is me. Okay, only I have access. Okay, so the goings on in my mind, right? My anger, my fear, my love, my beliefs, my knowledge, all of those things that are inside of my mind, inside the subjective realm, only I can observe, only I am aware, right? The rest of you, you have no access, okay? Now, you don't know what I'm thinking about, right? Maybe I'm thinking about the computer. I'm thinking about being in a Zoom meeting right now, okay? But there's no way for you to know that unless I tell you that's what I'm thinking about, okay? Whereas the computer out here, right? I don't need to tell you about the computer. I don't need to give you permission, right? The computer's just out here for all of us to observe, okay? It's completely public, right? All right, now back to Descartes and the dream doubt, okay? For Descartes, okay? Whatever is going on out here in the external realm, in the physical realm out here, right? In the public realm out here, the only way to know it is using your eyes, right? You got to use your eyes. That's the only way. Or your ears, or your mouth, or your nose, or your hands, okay? Using the 5 senses. And what he's basically done is undermined, or he's brought into doubt, all of the information we get through the senses, okay? The idea is, look, this experience of looking at my laptop where it says Zoom and hearing students talk, okay, this could all be the result of a dream. So even if there is no Zoom, okay, call going on right now, and instead I'm merely dreaming this, okay? If I'm sleeping, my eyes are closed, okay? So my eyes are closed right now. Presently, the eyes are closed. I'm sleeping and I'm merely dreaming that I'm in a Zoom, right? The thought here is it's possible that there's no Zoom call. I'm merely dreaming that I'm in a Zoom call. And based on the power of this dream, I come to believe that I'm in a Zoom call, okay? And because of this, I mean, you can sort of repeat this with all empirical claims, right? All a posteriori claims. I'm in a Zoom call. There's a container of watermelon on my desk right now, that it's daytime, that I've got my glasses on right now, okay? These are all things that I know through the senses, but each one of those, maybe there isn't any watermelon on my desk. I'm just dreaming it, okay? Maybe I don't have my glasses on right now. I'm sleeping. I don't wear my glasses when I'm sleeping. I'm just dreaming that I'm awake and that I'm wearing glasses, and so on and so forth. So it looks like all a posteriori claims are brought into doubt, okay? So all of those things are brought into doubt, but here's something that cannot be doubted, okay? This is what I want to get to, okay? Everything going on out here, okay? That there's presently a Zoom call going on, okay? Everything going on out here is subject to doubt. Everything in the external objective in the public realm is subject to doubt, okay? Maybe my senses are defective. Maybe my senses are being bypassed, and I'm just dreaming all of the things that I think I'm observing. But here's something that cannot be doubted, right? The goings on in my mind, okay? What is happening in my mind? I have an experience right now. I am presently having the experience of being in a Zoom call, okay? I presently feel full, right? I had lunch, I had an early lunch at 11 o'clock, and I currently feel full, okay? The feeling, right? Feeling something in here. I feel the fullness, I'm experiencing being in a Zoom call. Okay, whether I'm really in a Zoom call or not, who knows? But at least that I'm experiencing, having the experience of being in a Zoom call. Okay, that I'm angry, that I'm cold, that I'm happy, that I'm in love, that the various beliefs that I have, all the things going on in here, right? I have direct access to, I'm immediately aware of, right? The goings on in my own mind. And you might think that there is an immunity to error, okay? So whatever's going on in here, I have immunity to error, okay? Right, I am immune to error, okay? I can be wrong about what's going on in here, out here, certainly, right? All of these things, whatever seems to be going on in here is subject to doubt. Okay, I am not immune. Okay, I am vulnerable to error about the goings on out here, but about the goings on in here, I have immediate access to, right? I have special privilege to what's going on in here. It's private, only I do, and in addition to being private, it's immediate. I have immediate awareness. I have private awareness. I have immediate awareness, and my awareness is immune to error, okay? I can't be wrong. If I think that I'm in a Zoom call, then it's, I think that I'm in a, so I'm aware that I'm in a Zoom call. If it seems like I'm in a Zoom call, then, hold on, how do I put this? If it seems like I'm having an experience of being in a Zoom call, then I really am having the experience of being in a Zoom call, okay? I can't be wrong about what is happening in my own mind, right? I'm having an experience, a visual experience of a Zoom call, then it's got to be true that I really am having a visual experience of a Zoom call, okay? Even though I'm not really having a Zoom call, right? Because I'm dreaming, right? In my dream, I'm having a experience of being in a Zoom call, and then I'm immediately aware, right? Because I have immediate awareness of what's going on in my own mind. Okay, so I think everybody gets this idea, right? Okay. So the stuff out here is all subject to doubt. All the a posteriori stuff is subject to doubt. The goings on in my own mind is beyond doubt, right? That I think, right? When it comes to thinking, right? Right? That I think, that I doubt, that I feel, that I love, that I hate, that I am angry, that I'm confused, that I'm cold, that I'm hungry, okay? Those things are all things going on in my own mind, and they are immune to error. They are beyond doubt. Immune to error, right? They're beyond doubt, okay? I can't be wrong about this, it seems, right? There's no way to doubt, okay? It can't be that I have an image. It seems as if there's an image of a computer in my mind right now, and I don't really have an image of a computer in my mind, okay? It's beyond doubt, okay? Okay? That I think is beyond doubt, okay? All right, so when it comes to the goings on and what is happening in your mind, somebody asked me, what are you thinking right now? Okay. if you're asking me what I'm thinking right now, I can't be wrong in whatever answer I give you, okay? If it seems like I'm thinking about the Philosophy 110 right now, and someone asks me, what are you thinking about? And I say, I'm thinking about Philosophy 110, it has to be true that I'm thinking about Philosophy 1, unless I'm lying to you, okay? It can't be that it seems like I'm thinking about Philosophy 110, whereas I'm not really thinking about Philosophy 110. Okay, if it seems like I'm thinking about it, it's because I really am thinking about it. Okay. Right, does anybody have any questions or comments about this? Okay. Now,
I have a question.
yeah, go ahead.
Wait, so you're saying for the when it's internal, you can't.
Yeah, stuff in the internal realm, yeah.
Yeah, when you're talking about internal, it can't be wrong if someone asks you what you're thinking.
Yeah, then you're thinking exactly what you think you're thinking, right? So if you ask me, are you thinking about Philosophy 110, 110 right now? And I look in my mind and I say, oh yeah, I have, okay, so here it is. So Oliva, you ask me, what are you thinking about right now? And I say to you, well, I mean, what am I thinking about right now? And I go and I look and it's like, oh, I'm thinking about Philosophy 1010, right? That's what I'm thinking about right now. And it turns out I'm wrong, okay? I thought I was thinking about this, but I'm really not thinking about this. I'm thinking about, I don't know, I'm thinking about something else, okay? So if it seems like I'm thinking about this, it's because I am thinking about this. Okay, Oliva, you still there? What happened? She asked her question, she disappeared. Okay, okay. Now, if you ask me, so let's say Oliva, in a dream, we're in a Zoom call, and she asked me, are you in a Zoom call right now? And of course, I'm going to say yes, because I mean, I'm dreaming that I'm in a Zoom call, right? So she asked me, are you in a Zoom call? And I say, yes, I'm in a Zoom call, but I'm just dreaming that I'm in a Zoom call. I'm not really in a Zoom call. So I can be wrong about being in a Zoom call. I can't be wrong about thinking that I'm in a Zoom call, right? Everybody get the difference? I can be wrong about whether I'm in a Zoom call right now. Okay, it could be I'm dreaming and I'm not really in a Zoom call, but I can't be wrong about thinking that I'm in a Zoom call. What are you thinking of? She's not asking me, are you in a Zoom call? She's asking me, are you thinking about being in a Zoom call? Well, am I thinking about that? Well, let me see. Well, I see that I am thinking about it. And if I see that I am thinking about it, well, then it must be true that I am thinking about it, okay? It can't be that I'm in a dream, I think I'm thinking about a Zoom call, I wake up and be like, okay, obviously I wasn't in a Zoom call, but was I thinking about being in a Zoom call? The answer is yes. If you think you're in a Zoom call, if you think you're thinking about being in a Zoom call, then you really are thinking about being in a Zoom call. Okay, everybody got that? Everybody not get this?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So this is Amanda. So he's saying like everything outside your mind is brought into doubt, but everything inside your mind is beyond doubt, and you can't doubt your thoughts. So obviously you exist. So if like other people are outside of your mind, how do you know other people exist?
Right, exactly. Very good. I mean, that is a problem for Descartes. Okay, so for Descartes, the only thing he is sure about is himself, right? That he knows that he exists, right? That he knows the things that are going on in his own mind, right? So the I is the only thing he's sure of. That's exactly the stuff for you to bring up, okay? So that Amanda exists. I mean, probably Amanda exists, but I mean, it's not 100%. It could be I'm the only one that exists. and the experience of other people, of listening to other people, or seeing other people, feeling other people, observing other people, it could all just be the result of some long, prolonged, ongoing dream. Okay, so insofar as, let's say, Amanda, okay, well, I mean, how am I aware of Amanda? Right? I guess the only way to be aware of her is by the senses, right? And Amanda is, I mean,
Aren't all the senses brought to doubt though?
Sorry, go ahead.
Aren't all the senses brought to doubt though?
Yeah, they are all brought to doubt. They are all brought to doubt. Okay. So there's Amanda out here. You are an external, objective, public object, right? And then there's my image of you in here. Right? My idea of Amanda is in here. Now, of course, I can be sure that my image of Amanda, right? This is that I have a image of her, that an image of her exists in my mind, right? The idea of Amanda, or the concept of Amanda, or the image of Amanda, that she exists in my mind is beyond doubt. Okay, so this thing right here, this idea or this image is beyond doubt. Amanda out here, the real person, is not beyond doubt. She is subject to doubt. Okay, I mean, how am I aware of this object over here is by my five senses, but my five senses are subject to doubt. Okay, so long story, okay, long way of answering your question is I don't know that you exist. I don't know that you are a real object. Okay, I mean, probably you are. Okay, but I can't be 100% sure because you being an external, objective, public object is subject to the dream scenario or the dream doubt. Okay, so I cannot be sure that there exists other people, right? This really is a challenge for Descartes, right? And I think Descartes is just going to say, yeah, you're right. There's no way to know that there are other people. The only thing I can know for sure is, right? I certainly have images, right, Amanda, right? So suppose it's not COVID and we're in class and I see Amanda sitting, I can see, and so I get a visual image of her, you know, the way I have a visual image of my laptop, I have a visual image of her, and that visual image of her is something that exists in my mind, and I can be sure of that, okay? But then that there's a real person sitting on the table, I mean, who knows? Who knows exactly what's going on in the external realm, okay? All of it is subject to doubt. All right, so excellent question, right? I mean, really demonstrates you're thinking about this, and then you're starting to really understand Descartes' views. Anybody have any other questions or thoughts about this?
Wait, just to reiterate, so the five senses are subject to doubt?
Yeah, the five senses are subject to doubt, okay? And when it comes to the external, objective, public, right? Public, things that can be observed using the five senses, okay? Public meaning they're empirical. Empirical means the same thing, right? Empirical objects, okay? Subject to observation by the five senses, just means the same thing, okay? So when you hear empirical, okay, it's just a fancy word for observable, right? So an observable, this is a computer's an empirical object, is an observable object. Another way of saying it's a public object. It all means the same thing. Okay. Now, this all has to do with, you know, what we can know, right? These are all in, sorry for another fancy word, right? This is all epistemic. It all has to do with knowledge, right? These are all epistemic considerations. What we can know, what we cannot know, according to Descartes. We can know what's going on in here because they are certain, they are beyond doubt. Okay, they're undoubtable what's going on in here. The stuff out here, we can't know because they are all subject to doubt. Right? None of this stuff out here is certain. They're all subject to doubt, everything out here. Right? And so there is an epistemic difference, a difference in what we can know, and difference in terms of knowledge, right? The difference between the stuff in here and the stuff out here, right? There's an epistemic difference. We can know what's going on in here. We can't know what's going on in, right? There's no knowledge for things out here. There is knowledge about things in here, right? So there is an epistemic difference, right? A difference in our ability to know. We have the ability to know the goings on in here. We do not have the ability to know the things out here. Okay, so that's an epistemic difference, okay, about the things out here, in here, versus the things out here. Now, Descartes is going to use that epistemic difference, right? And he's going to draw a metaphysical conclusion from this, okay? If the things in here are knowable and the things out here are not knowable, they must be, somebody help me out here. If the things in here are knowable and the things out here are not knowable, they must be what? Somebody? Help me out here. The stuff in here, the mental, right? Just the whole thing in here, the internal, the subjective, we just call the mental, right? This is the mental stuff. And the stuff in here is the mind, right? The mind or the mental is, what should I say? Undoubtable or indubitable, beyond doubt, and we can know, right? You know what? I might be able to type a lot faster than doing the whiteboard. So let me stop the share on that. Let me go back to this. Okay. Okay, I'm writing too slowly there. All right. Let me see, help me out here. The mind or the mental is indubitable. The body or the physical is dubitable or subject to doubt. What should we conclude about the mind and the body? Anybody? If the mind and everything in the mind is beyond doubt, the body, everything physical is dubitable, subject to doubt, right? The body, the physical, empirical, observable things, right? Things that we are aware of by observation, right? The public stuff. If the mental stuff is indubitable, right? The private stuff, the mental stuff is indubitable. The public stuff, the observable stuff is dubitable. What should we say about the mind and the body? Come on, class, somebody. If one thing can be doubted and the other cannot, what should we say about the two kinds of things?
Would you say that they're separate then?
Perfect. That is what you would say. If one thing can be doubted and the other cannot, somebody see my computer and maybe they could help me out here? Why does this not, how come I can't insert this? I want to say that they're distinct. I wanted to use the non-equal sign, but for whatever reason, my computer's not doing it. Okay, so the mind and the body are distinct. They're not the same thing. Okay, so if mental things are one kind of thing and physical things are another kind of thing, it's very, very important here that we, in order to properly understand Descartes, okay? Let me ask you about the human brain. Well, how do I draw the brain? How do I draw the brain? The brain. Okay, let's say that's the brain, okay? Let me ask the class here. Is this a public object or a private object? My for instance, I'll take my belief. My belief that, I don't know, what beliefs do I have? I believe that grass is green or something like that. Okay. Okay, so I have this belief that grass is green. And of course, when it comes to my belief, can anyone see my belief? Can you smell my belief? Can you taste my belief? Can you hear beliefs? Well, you can hear my voice. Can you hear my belief? All right? You can't observe physically, you know, like there's no light. If you want to see something with the eyes, you know, there's got to be light reflecting. Like my belief, is there any light reflecting off of my belief? Right? There's light reflecting off the computer. There's light reflecting off Amanda. Is there a light reflecting off my belief? Of course there isn't, so you cannot observe it, okay? So my belief, it's a real thing. It's internal, subjective, it's private, okay? Only I'm aware of my own beliefs, okay? All right, so that's private. Amanda is public, right? Right, there's light reflecting off of her, so we can see her, right? And when Amanda talks, we can hear her. I mean, she doesn't even have to talk. When she's walking or she's moving her hands, we can hear her, okay? I mean, we don't want a lawsuit, but we can touch her, okay? So Amanda is public, external, objective. My belief is internal, subjective, private. What about my brain? Public or private? Anybody?
Public.
It's
Private.
public. Wait. Who said public? Who said private?
I said public.
Okay, why do you mean? Who's this? Is this Cindy? Who's the person who's Cindy was saying public?
No, I said public.
Was Leva?
Leva.
Sorry, Leva?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not a Leva, it's Leva?
No, it's Aleva.
Aleva. Okay. The A is silent. It's not silent. Aleva. Okay. You say it's public. Okay, why do you say it's public?
Because it's physically there.
It's physical. The brain's a physical object. Okay, it has a size, it has a shape, it has a quantity. We can measure it, right? We can measure it in all kinds of ways, right? In terms of its size, its shape, its density, its its location. Those are all things that can be quantified. Okay, we can. How do I identify its size and shape? You feel it, you can see it, you can hear it. There's all kinds, right? And what is that? Scientists or scientists, right? Medical scientists, brain scientists, right? They go and they observe, right? They observe it, and then they cut it open, and then they want to see all the small parts that make up it, that it's made out of, right? So they get a microscope, super microscopes, right? They dissect, they look at all the different parts, and yeah, it's all observable from top to bottom. The brain, completely observable. There's nothing mysterious about the brain. Okay, I mean, we might think it's mysterious. It's because we just don't know the science, right? But mysterious in the sense that we don't have enough knowledge, right? But it's not mysterious in the same sense that it's unknowable, right? Well, sorry. It's not mysterious in the same sense. It's not observed. There's parts of it that are not observed, that are beyond observation, okay? So it's completely observable. It's totally empirical. It's an external object, okay? So it's important that when you're understanding Descartes, you are making a distinction between the mind. My belief is not in the brain. My belief is in the mind, okay? I mean, it's an open question whether the brain and the mind are the same thing, right? If the brain and the mind are the same, then if beliefs are in the mind and the beliefs in the brain. But here's an argument. Here's a Cartesian, Descartes argument that the mind and the brain can't be the same. The mind is subject to, the brain is observable, external, objective, public, empirical. It's subject to doubt, right? The brain and everything about the brain is subject to doubt, right? And what makes the brain subject to doubt is just a physical object. Physical objects, all physical objects, even the brain is subject to doubt. The mind, however, is beyond doubt. There's no way to doubt the mind, right? So when we say that the mind and the physical, right, or the body is distinct, included in the body is the brain. So for Descartes, if you want to understand Descartes, okay, for Descartes, the mind and the brain are two different things. Okay, they're distinct things. The universe consists of two fundamentally different kinds of things, the mental and the physical. The mental, the internal stuff, that's indubitable, and then the physical, including the brain, okay? So the mind and the body are distinct, right? The mind and the brain are distinct, okay? This is his dualist, right? Substance. Substance has to do with things, right? He's a substance dualist, right? Descartes is a substance dualist, okay? He thinks that the universe consists of two fundamentally different kinds of things. Things that are beyond doubt and things that are subject to doubt. Physical things and mental things. The mind is, for Descartes, completely non-physical. It's completely non-physical. Okay? Okay, so that is Descartes' dualism. Okay, now, this is all set up to introduce Armstrong. Let me ask this to the class, okay? What's the potential problem with the substance dualist position, okay? I mean, Descartes' argument is it's a powerful argument, right? I mean, powerful in the sense that, I mean, which part of P1 and P2 should we say no to? Like, look at P1 and P2. If P1 and P2 are true, C has to be true, okay? If you say the mind is beyond doubt and the body is subject to doubt, if one thing can't be doubted and the other can be doubted, they can't be the same thing, okay? So the logic here from P1 and P2 to C, okay, that's solid logic. There's no way to attack that logic. That the mind is indubitable, right? That the goings on in my own mind, okay? That I'm certain about it, that I can't doubt. There's no way to doubt what's going on in my mind, okay? Whatever seems to be going on in my mind really is going on in my mind, okay? Yeah, that the mind is indubitable, that the body is dubitable, right? that the body, everything physical, because I mean, it could be the subject of a dream, right? There are, okay, here's what we put it. There's a scenario where what's happening in the mind is not true. There's no scenario with what's going on in the mind is true, right? So whatever seems to be going on in the mind really is going on in the mind. Whatever seems to be going on out here in the external realm really is going on out here. Well, that seems there's room for doubt there, okay? So that there's this difference between the mind and the body. No room for doubting the mind, room for doubting the body, okay? It's hard to see how you can deny either of these unless somebody in our class can sort of find a way to deny either P1 and P2 or P2. So if P1 and P2 are true, then it looks like C has to be true. Sorry, there's construction going on, right? So if P1 and P2 is true, C has to be true. Is there a way P1 might not be true? No, I mean, it's really hard to see how P1 is not true. How about P2? It's really hard to see how P2 is not true. So we should say P1 and P2 are both true. But if they're both true, then the conclusion has to be true, okay? So it looks like Descartes has presented a very, very powerful argument, right? Powerful argument in the sense that we can't deny the argument, right? If you want to deny the argument, you got to have some basis for denying it. And it looks like we don't have a basis for denying the argument or resisting the argument. So it looks like we have to accept the argument, right? But there's a potential problem with this, right? When I say problem, I mean a philosophical problem. Does anyone see a problem with saying that the body, that the mind is not, that the mind and the body are completely separate? Okay, so is there a problem with this conclusion? Does anyone see a problem with this conclusion that the mind and the body are distinct? That the mind is completely non-physical? Anybody? If the mind, everything going on is okay, the mind is something that's completely non-physical, right? Then the mind and the body are two distinct kinds of things. Okay, there's of course there's physical things. Well, I don't know. There are physical things, and then there are things that are non-physical, right? The mind. Okay, if the mind is non-physical, it's utterly non-physical, then what? Anybody?
Okay, is it that it can exist without the body?
Let me see. Just 1 second here. Okay. If the mind and the physical are two different, distinct kinds of things.
I mean, like they can exist independently of each other?
Yeah, that's what the substance dualist position is. Mind is completely distinct from the body. And if they're completely distinct from each other, then one can exist. That certainly is a consequence of Descartes' view. That's exactly right. The mind can exist without the body. Now, I asked for a potential problem. Descartes recognizes, you're right, Descartes recognizes that if the mind and the body are completely distinct, the mind can exist without the body, right? I mean, Descartes concludes, I think, right? I exist, right? I'm certain of this. The I here, well, I mean, what is the I that exists? What is this thing I that exists? Well, I mean, one thing I know that, well, What's true of this I that exists? What that it thinks, right? So what sort of a thing am I? So I'm essentially something that thinks. So you can separate me from my body. Okay, so even if I didn't have a body, as long as I think, then I exist. Okay, so even if I don't have a body, okay, so let me put it this way. So it's very good. This is very, very good. Okay, so even if I don't have a body, if I think, then I exist. Okay. But if I don't think, I don't exist. Okay. Even if I don't have a body, if I think, then I exist. There's no way to think without existing, right? I cannot think unless I exist. Now, when do I go out of existence? Okay, my existence, I don't go out of existence simply by not having a body. Okay, so if you take away my body, if you take away my brain, and there's still thinking going on, then I exist. Okay, if I remove the body and thinking remains, well, then I exist. Now, what if we not just take away the body, but we take away thinking? There's no thinking. Well, that's the point at which I cease to exist. Okay, I don't cease to exist because I don't have a body, but I do cease to exist if I don't think. Okay, so my body is not essential to me, meaning I can exist without my body. Okay, I don't have to have a body for me to exist. But here's something that I do have to have, right? I have to have thinking. Okay, so once the thinking stops, then I cease to exist. Okay, so then what does that mean? What sort of thing am I? I'm a thing that thinks. Okay, I'm a thinking thing. Okay, and so when Leah says that the mind can exist without the body, yeah, that's right. The mind, the true me, okay, the mind. Okay, the true I or the true me, okay, the mind, the true I can exist without the bit. Okay, so I just put I. When you think of the mind, that's me. Okay, I am the same as my mind. Okay, as long as my mind exists, I exist. Okay, I don't need a body as long as my mind. Okay, the only way I go out of existence is when my mind goes out of existence, when thinking goes out of existence. Okay, so that's Descartes' view, right? Now, what I'm asking for is a potential philosophical problem with this position. What's the reason to be concerned or worried, philosophically worried, philosophically concerned, right? When I say worried, I mean, I'm not sure it's true, right? I'm worried that maybe we're not concluding something that's true. That's what I mean by worry, right? Concerned, right? Philosophers, we're concerned with the truth. We want the truth. And you're concerned maybe this is not the truth. Okay, that's what I mean by concern, or right? You know, it's not the same as you know, the concern you have when your child comes home with bad grades. Okay, that's not what I mean by concern, right? That's not the way I'm using concern. Concern or worry, right?
Okay, I have
Problem. Yeah, go ahead.
maybe so like we can because we have the body, so we can physically destroy the body, right? I mean, how do we destroy the mind?
Okay, the body can be destroyed. The mind is non-physical. So how do you destroy it? That's. I mean, if the mind and the body are distinct, you don't destroy the mind by destroying the body, right? They're two distinct things. We know how to destroy the body. How do we destroy the mind? Well, I mean, you know, just because they're different doesn't mean, well, just because the mind isn't physical doesn't mean the mind cannot be destroyed. I think well, it doesn't mean that the mind can't be destroyed. I mean, but the way you would destroy the mind would be different than the way you would destroy the body. You destroy the body by, I don't know, I'm taking a sledgehammer or I don't know, pouring acid, or, you know, you'd find some, you know, by force or by some chemical reaction. That itself is a force, type of force. But using some certain kind of force, right, you destroy or you alter bodies. How do you destroy a mind, right? There's some other, right? So you destroy physical things by using physical force. How do you destroy a mind? Well, you don't destroy a mind by using physical force, right? Because physical force doesn't work on non-physical things. Okay, physical force only works on physical things. How do you destroy the mind? I mean, I don't know. Mental abuse, or I mean, I don't know. So just because they're distinct doesn't mean that you cannot destroy the. Just because. Okay, so let me say. Just because the mind is non-physical doesn't mean that the mind cannot be destroyed. I think the mind can be destroyed, even if we say that the mind is non-physical. Okay, so I'm not quite, this is not the kind of problem that I had in mind. Although, I mean, it's a very interesting suggestion here, right? That, I mean, you would think that the mind is destructible. I mean, we know that the mind can be destroyed, right? And if you say that the mind and the body are distinct, or you're saying that the mind cannot be destroyed the way the body can't, I would say no. Even if the mind is non-physical, it can still be destroyed, okay? So just saying that it's non-physical doesn't commit us to saying that mind cannot be destroyed. I mean, that would be really bad if we said that the mind couldn't be destroyed. I mean, we know very well, we know good and well that the mind can be destroyed. So if Descartes is committed to saying that the mind cannot be destroyed, that would really be a problem, okay? So Leah, I mean, you're definitely thinking the way philosophers should be thinking, right? I mean, you're thinking along the right lines, okay? Does anybody else want to try? If the mind is non-physical, okay? Look here. If the mind is non-physical, if the mind is non-physical, okay? What did we say about the things out here? That they're what? They're public and that they're empirical. The things out here. Right, human beings and brains and computers and the sun and the eyes and everything else that's out here, okay? They're all public, they're all empirical, okay? What does that mean that they're public, they're empirical? They are subject to observation. They are observable, okay? Now, why is it important that the things out here be observable? The fact that they are observable allows us to do what with these things? Anybody? The fact that they're objective, they're public, they're observable, they're empirical, allows us to observe, obviously. If they're observable, we can observe them. And being able to observe them or observing them allows us to develop what?
Hypothesis.
Well, hypothesis, that's right. Okay, so all right, let's see. If the mind is non-physical, then there's no way to develop a science of the mind. Okay, the key here is science. Science, or scientia, right, has to do with knowledge, real knowledge, okay? How do we know all of the various things about, you know, our environment, the things that are in nature, right? How do we develop genuine knowledge of the world of biology, the world of geology, the world of astronomy, the things, you know, physical things at the very, very, very big level? How do we develop knowledge of things at the very small, at the atomic level, at the molecular level, at the subatomic level, at the quantum level, at the level of the really, really, really small? Develop a science. how do we get knowledge of how the human body works, how the human heart, how the human eyes work, right? How is it that ophthalmologists, right? So medical doctors, right? Medical doctors with training on the human eye, or how the eye works. Okay, so develop a science. Scientia means knowledge, right? I mean, it's the highest form of knowledge, right? Genuine knowledge, right? Deep knowledge, fundamental knowledge, or specific knowledge, or precise. Okay, so science has to do with precise knowledge. Okay, and where does so what does it mean to develop a science? Is to develop a body of knowledge using the scientific method. Okay, and what is the first step in the scientific method? Is observation. Okay, in order to do science or develop a science or create precise knowledge, okay, the first thing you got to do is be able to make observation, right? Like, let's say that Amanda is in San Bernardino, okay, or Rialto, right? Maybe we can get like specific coordinates on where she is, okay? Oh, yeah, let's not make it so complicated. Let's say we're in class, okay? And Amanda is sitting on the second seat on the third row or something like that, right? And I observe. So the people, somebody walks into the class and can you point me to Amanda? And I'm going to point to her, right? That's the student that's on the second seat on the third row or something like that, right? I can observe. How do I know that that's where she's sitting? I mean, I have to see her, right? I guess I can go and feel, right? Close my eyes and touch all the chairs, and somehow I'm able to recognize Amanda using my, right? So I say that she's on the second chair of the third row, and then I ask Aliva, where's Amanda? And Aliva looks, and she sees that Amanda's sitting on the third row, second chair. So then I ask Leah, okay, where is Amanda? And wherever she's sitting, she can see, right? What I'm seeing, what Aliva is seeing, what Leah is seeing, we're all seeing the same thing, right? And so I say she's sitting in a certain place. Aliva says she's sitting in a certain place. Leah says she's sitting in a certain place. And we all are saying the exact same thing. Of course, if Leah says, no, she's not on the third row, she's on the fourth row, I would say, come here, right? Count the rows, right? 1, 2, 3, she's on the third row. And then once I show her she's on the third row, so sort of count it for her, right? Leah's like, I was right and you were wrong. And so now, okay, so I was saying she's on the third row, and Aliva was saying she's on the third row, and Leah was saying she's on the fourth row. Okay, after she comes and looks a little bit more closely, we all come to an agreement. Oh, you're right, third row, third row, third. We all say the same thing. Okay, that's how science works. Okay, we all make our initial observations, and after we make our observations, right, we make a hypothesis, we create hypotheses, right? Why are we observing what we're observing? So let's say that Amanda walks into our clinic. Okay, let's say that Dr. Kwan and Dr. Hemphill and Dr. Aliva, right? Aliva, we're all doctors in a clinic. Amanda walks in and she's got a fever, she's got a cough, she's got a fever, a cough, and she's got some rash. Okay, that's obviously I see it. Amanda obviously saw it first. That's why she walked into the clinic. I see it. Okay, Dr. Leah, she sees it, and Dr. Olivia, we all see it. Okay, now I say, oh my gosh, she's got COVID. Okay, that's my hypothesis. And Leah says, no, it's the common flu. That's her hypothesis. And Olivia says, wait a minute. What is her hypothesis for why all these symptoms? it's she's got some sort of a bacterial infection, right? So we're saying, when I say it's a COVID, I say it's a viral, right? And flu, that's viral too. And Dr. Oliva is saying it's some sort of bacterial, right? So we're saying it's viral, she's saying it's bacterial. We have different hypotheses, okay? And now how are we going to settle this? More observations, right? We're gonna make more observations. We're gonna do some tests. We're gonna run the tests, right? The tests are gonna, what are these tests, right? These are things that we do to take closer observation, right? We want to make closer observations, right? We want to go and see her blood or see her urine or see her whatever, right? So we go and swab and do all kinds of stuff and see cultures and, right? We're trying to make closer observation. We want to see exactly what's going on inside of our body. And based on the test results, making closer observations, it turns out COVID is out. It turns out the flu is out. It turns out all the viral possibilities are out, and we're to bacterial, right? So it looks like we're gonna have to go with the hypothesis that Dr. Oliva has suggested. And so which bacteria? Okay, I'm gonna have my hypothesis. It's a, you know, certain kind of bacteria A and bacteria B, bacteria C. Well, who's right? More observations, so on and so forth. And that's how science works, right? Anyways, let me go ahead and stop right there, and we will, I don't want to lose all this drawing, but I mean, that's the way it goes. Okay, we will continue this conversation on Thursday. Okay, all right. That's, unless you have a question, you can go ahead and sign off.
Professor, I have an off-topic question.
Yeah.
I was wondering when we'll get our test scores back. I don't know if you said at the beginning of class.
Oh
or
yeah,
not.
so people can get their scores at different times, but everyone will get it within 10 days.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right, bye. Anybody else? No questions? Questions? If there are no questions, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. All right, okay, see everybody on Thursday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.